So in this sense, we're reflecting on all these beautiful, precious teachings we've been so fortunate to get and think about. And of course, what's even more precious and more meaningful and actually more beneficial is when we can absorb those teachings into our minds and hearts and become more and more natural. Because again, the main point of the Buddhist teachings is to remove our obscurations. Why? Because that reveals our inherent nature. And so kind of the main focus of today's kind of contemplation and reflecting, and what we're going to focus on more within the Ngondro teachings is the Vajrasattva practice of purifying our obscurations and using this great, powerful support of the Vajrasattva meditation and recitation. So we'll go over that a little bit. Well, I think the most important thing, the teachings are always pointing out to us to remember, so we're not too caught up in the gross, kind of rough illusion, is to remember the wisdom of the Buddha's teachings and the big, big, beautiful, true view that we all have Buddha nature, that our innate nature is limitless wisdom, intelligence, inseparable from loving kindness and the capacity to immeasurably benefit every living being who doesn't recognize their true nature and help mature them and bring them to that realization. We all have beautiful nature. Again, it's just the degree to which we recognize it or not is the only difference. So like it says in one of the tantras of the Buddha, the Hevajra Tantra, all beings are Buddhas by nature, but it's temporarily concealed by advantageous stains of perception. So that's just such a critically important thing to recognize as we take refuge in the three jewels and the three roots and in our practice, is having some degree of more confidence and trust in the truth of the Buddha's realization, but that at the heart of that is our own potential and our own just natural goodness is there at the heart of everything, whether we recognize it or not. And so really it's said in the teachings that the path of awakening to our bodhicitta, to our absolute bodhicitta, to our true Buddhahood, to realizing the great perfection, that path is really removing our obscurations. As we remove our obscurations in the teachings, our innate Buddha nature, our innate wisdom, and our natural compassion, all of those beautiful, inherent enlightened qualities we all have are more fully developed and shining the more our obscurations are revealed. Our obscurations are revealed to us, and then we remove them. So that's really that point. If we didn't have Buddha nature, there'd be no reason to practice. Our Buddha nature is the cause of our enlightenment. So that's just like the example when we have dirty hands, where it's not that our hands are dirty, it's that we have dirt on our hands, as a rough metaphor. Where when a window is really dirty and hard to see through, it's not that the window itself is dirty, it's that there's dirt on the window and we wash it. And if we put all those ingredients together, the soap, the water, the friction, the rinse, then the result is there. We see what was there to begin with. And so that's, I think, really important to remember as we're practicing. our obscurations are what obscures us from recognizing our Buddha nature. So, right, the Buddha initially gave, the very first teaching the Buddha gave in this human world, the Four Noble Truths, the truth of suffering, the truth that there's not just suffering and challenges, but there's causes for suffering and challenges. Those causes are our misunderstanding of things as they are, our ego clinging, our negative emotions and grasping are what perpetuate our suffering, which perpetuate our samsara. So samsara and suffering and obscurations, they're all one and the same. Then of course the Buddha didn't just teach there's suffering and causes for suffering. He's pointing out from the most basic Buddhism, and then just becomes more and more direct what the Buddha is pointing out and directing, ushering our minds towards realizing, is that there's freedom from suffering, there's cessation of suffering, the truth of cessation of suffering. And then there's causes for that. There's ways and methods to remove the causes of our suffering and bring out our innate nature. And so that's what the path we have. These are the teachings we have to explore and to try out and apply to our lives. How beautiful. And so again, just kind of returning to that point, its obscurations are samsara. Whose samsara? Our samsara. Everything comes down to our own mind and recognizing its qualities and removing our obscurations. And so all of our Ngondro practice is doing that. And then with the Vajrasattva section in particular, we're kind of really focusing on that. But again, as we'll talk as we go, none of the Ngondro is kind of really completely separate from another. It's all bringing out beautiful aspects of that one whole practice. So again, I took a few little notes so I didn't get too lost in space here. So, so as far as obscurations go, as far as samsara goes, and finding the way to remove the causes of samsara and bring out those beautiful nature. Those are all the methods we have of the foundational Buddhism, of Mahayana Buddhism, of Vajrayana Buddhism, all working in unity. That's what we're practicing here. And so as far as obscurations go, right, it's told there's how many obscurations? Basically 2 obscurations is one. Again, we may have heard this, we may have not heard this, but again, what makes all the difference is how much each one of us, myself included, really contemplates this and really brings it to heart. So what are the 2 obscurations? They're called emotional obscurations and conceptual obscurations or knowledge obscurations. Emotional and conceptual. Emotional obscurations are much more rough, much more kind of our outer samsara experience, the real rough stuff we notice first and engage with most often. But of course it's all based on our knowledge obscurations, are very, very, very subtle obscurations that are, come right down to our basic not knowing. But now these 2 obscurations are sometimes broken down into 4 obscurations, where emotional obscurations can be looked at 2 ways, and conceptual obscurations looked at 2 ways. And so that's known as karmic obscurations, as far as the emotional obscurations can be broken down, kind of to look at a little bit more, parse them out a little bit more, look at them a little more clearly. Karmic obscurations, and then our negative emotions, the obscurations of our negative emotions. So our karmic obscurations are, again, the word karmic is there because they're involved with our actions of body, speech, mind. And, right, so those are all caused by how we see things, our emotions, how much ignorance we have, how much hope and fear we have, how many actions of our bodies and speech and habitual mind we have. And so one way of understanding that is kind of from the ordinary level. For every being whatsoever, there's 2 kinds of karmic obscurations, or 2 kinds of ways in which we act that cause more trouble for ourselves and others, directly and indirectly. And those are sometimes called natural karmic activities, and kind of fabricated. So what does that mean? So natural karmic activities are things like killing, stealing, abusive behavior, hatred, hatred thoughts and actions, for example. That's all, no matter what, everybody's harmed. We're harmed, others are harmed, doesn't matter. And then what's called more fabricated karma is then more involved with our mind and as Dharma practitioners. On the basic level, that means when we make a promise and go against it. And so then on levels of taking the Buddhist teachings, that would mean, so in other words, also that could be all the kind of customs and laws and regulations just in the ordinary world, wherever we are. Those are kind of acting against those can cause us trouble on some degree, right? And then on the spiritual level, when we begin to take like vows of the pratimoksha, whether we're lay or nun or monk, the vows we take there as the path of individual liberation. Not to kill, not to steal, not avoid sexual misconduct, etc., etc. And then the vows we can take as a bodhisattva, seeing every single being as our mother, really engaging with the bodhicitta, all the vows we take as bodhisattva, all our bodhisattva vows in conviction. And then what we take on as Vajrayana practitioners of the purity. These are examples of fabricated, but and it's so involved again. What makes all the difference with karma, the Buddha taught, is how we feel about our actions. How much we think about them when we think, and how we really feel about them. Whether it's positive, negative, neutral. If we think about doing something and we feel good about it, that's first really powerful ingredient for powerful karma. When we think about something and feel good about it, and then we do it, and we feel good about it as we're doing it, that makes it even more powerful. When we continue that action and bring it to fulfillment and still feel good about it, that makes it all the most powerful. It's going to have the most powerful effect for ourselves and others, and ultimately, in our own experience. And so that's just something to keep in mind with looking at our karmic obscurations. And they do intersect. For example, in the teachings it's taught, for example, killing. People are harmed when we kill. But if we haven't taken a vow not to kill out of great reverence for life, then maybe killing doesn't have quite the same karmic effect as if someone who's really vowed not to kill. And then again, just being sober and like really recognizing the magnitude and the beautiful power of our practice. When we have our bodhichitta intention and motivation and conviction and have vowed in front of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to actualize our bodhicitta for the benefit of all living beings. If we kill, what is that doing? That's even more powerfully going against kind of these vows. And then on the Vajrayana level, seeing all apparent existence, all phenomena as the pure mandala of all the Buddhas, Trikaya mandala, then what are we doing when we kill? Again, we can get complicated, but the point is, all of the vows we take are to help usher us, to help protect us, to help keep us on the path. But they're beautiful, powerful means, skillful means for bringing out our goodness qualities and cherishing our motivation and our intention is so important and beautiful. That's what's going to always bring us back to the right path and make all the difference for the future, no matter what mistakes we make. So anyway, I was talking about about karmic obscurations. And then of course, emotional obscurations are the other part of that, the breakdown. And what are our emotional obscurations? That's essentially, we could look at the 84,000 emotions, which can be summarized as the 5 poisons or the 5 basic emotions: ignorance, attachment, arrogance, jealousy, anger, and that can be broken down into the 3 basic emotions of ignorance, aversion, attachment. That basic, again, the basic not knowing of ignorance, and then keeping that in all of our actions of hope and fear. It's those things that propel all of our karmic obscurations. So the less ego clinging we have, the less grasping we have, the more we contemplate the teachings and practice, the more we're more likely to refrain from harm, engage in benefit, take responsibility for our own mind and our own actions and our own liberation, and with the motivation to benefit others. And then again, I'll go a little bit more quickly now, as far as looking at the 2 obscurations as 4. Right? We talked about emotional obscurations, looked at as karmic and emotional. And now as far as our conceptual obscurations, that's again on a little more very subtle level, looking on the more subtle level of our samsara. And that has to do with our basic ignorance and misperception of how things are. So that can be broken down into what's called conceptual obscurations, and then the habitual obscurations. Our conceptual obscurations, really the way that's summed up in the teachings is that's the habit we all have of subject, object, action. I am, the world exists, and there's the interactions between. That I exist, the world substantially exists, and there's activity. On whatever level, that habitual pattern is an obscuration, because the Buddha taught that's actually not how things are deep down. It's vast freedom, always shining, always moving, right? And then the fourth obscuration is more the habitual, and that is very, 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 very subtle conceptual obscurations, kind of very subtle echoes of these conceptual obscurations that are purified. It's sometimes said that that's like if you have a box that had perfume in it, or a bottle with perfume, and there's no more perfume, but you still smell the fragrance. It's like that level. So again, the point of this is too, right? All we've heard as our progress on the path from beginning up through realizing the true nature to total Buddhahood, when we look at that from the point of obscurations, that's like the Buddha pointed out, right? These kind of signposts and indications of our progress on the path. And as far as how that relates to removing our obscurations, if we start by cutting down our rough activity of listening to the teachings, applying the teachings, gradually we take them on more and more. We're purifying, we're refraining from harm, engaging in benefit, generating merit, generating our wisdom, and purifying by those means. And then there's, right, what's called the 5 paths, are one way of the Buddha showed us of progressing, the kind of a basic map for signposts of our realization. From when we first begin, those 5 paths are what? The path of accumulation, the path of joining, the path of seeing, the path of meditation, and the path of no more learning. So one way in the teachings, again, this is kind of just as a way of connecting with seeing how removing our obscurations and the causes of our obscurations, the causes of our suffering, the causes of our challenges, the causes of our mess, that's the path. And so, for example, when we've perfected the path of accumulation, maybe that's when we've really truly, deeply cut off our karmic obscurations. And then when we've really, really perfected, the path of joining and application, we've really perfected and cleaned away, totally abandoned our emotional obscurations. And that means, right, then the path of seeing, when we see the great emptiness as it is, subject, object, action, beyond any way we could stand it up or see it intellectually, see the true nature as it is, the great emptiness, so clear and vibrant. That's when our conceptual obscurations are purified. And then again, in the path of meditation, moving up through all the bhumis, that's when these very, very subtle obscurations are purified. And then when that happens, then it's the path of no more learning, which is to say, there's no more to purify. All our naturally inherent enlightened qualities are fully awakened, fully developed, completely purified. We're Buddhas, then we're object of refuge for all beings, just acting naturally for the benefit of beings, appearing to them as needed. And now, as ordinary sentient beings, we're in the beautiful place of having a teacher, of having this perfect teacher who has so beautifully maintained these beautiful, precious teachings that help us to awaken to that. And so, like I'm getting at, obscurations are our samsara. Removing them, purifying our obscurations is the path. another word that Rinpoche uses often, for obscurations and kind of violations of our vows and samayas and our promises, is mistakes. So recognizing our mistakes is the path, a big part of the path. And how beautiful. We shouldn't be afraid, because again, like the Buddha taught, there's more than suffering and its causes. Our fundamental nature is beautiful, is peace, is wisdom, is love, compassion, freedom, bodhicitta. How beautiful. And so when we get to our Vajrasattva practice, which I guess if you have the sadhana is page 32 in this book, Purification of Obscurations, the meditation of Vajrasattva. So simple, so concise, so profound. Again, it's the whole path. So, as it's renowned, right, as this Vajrasattva practice, we have what is known as the 4 supports, the 4 powers of purification, to purify. And that's known as the power of the object, the power of kind of uprooting, the power of actually purifying, uprooting obscurations, the power of restoring, and then the power of the antidote. So in brief, the power of the object in this sense is Vajrasattva, the Buddha Vajrasattva. And now that can be understood as that this is called the outer Vajrasattva. The outer Vajrasattva is the Buddha Vajrasattva, known as the sovereign of all the Buddha mandalas, embodiment of all the Buddhas, is Vajrasattva. Vajrasattva is so prime, so important, is renowned as, the Lord of all mandalas, embodiment of all the Buddhas of the past, present, future. And Vajrasattva is actually the root teacher of the Dzogchen teachings, even on the lineage way. And it's said again, when Vajrasattva was manifest as an ordinary being on the path of learning, like so many great noble beings, as a great bodhisattva, similar to Amitabha's, he made great, vast aspiration. May any being who hears my name and practices on me, may all of their obscurations be completely purified. And by the power of the truth of my conviction, the truth of my actions, the truth of my word, if this can't happen, may I only achieve enlightenment and Buddhahood if this is possible. And then again, through the great power and joy and love and true conviction and joy of that, animating that intention and that thought, and then that was followed through with all of the skillful means and actualizing his bodhicitta all the way to Buddhahood, through the power of all those coming together, that's made this inseparable connection we have in this renowned practice of Vajrasattva. So that's Vajrasattva on the outer level. And then it's really, again, important to recognize inner Vajrasattva. What is the inner Vajrasattva? In the teachings, the inner Vajrasattva is our own devotion. The inner Vajrasattva is our joy and our appreciation. Inner Vajrasattva is our refuge, our closeness feeling, our trust in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. It's our bodhichitta. It's our deep confidence and joy, devotion, trust, closeness feeling with the true nature and with the lineage and with our teacher. That's the inner Vajrasattva. And then it's our practice, right? That's joining the two, of making the union of that actualized Vajrasattva with our joy, our devotion, is the breath that creates our union, removes our obscurations. That's the power of the object. And then we have the power of uprooting. Again, we're uprooting our obscurations. And that means we're recognizing a mistake as a mistake. Like it said, it's so renowned, the teaching of the Buddha, the words of the Buddha. The only good thing about mistakes and negative actions is that the only good thing about them is they can be purified. So recognizing a mistake as a mistake is wonderful, though we all know how painful it can be. But that's kind of where the power of restoration comes in, and the power of the antidote. But uprooting means recognizing a mistake as a mistake. And again, let's remember too, there's different ways we make mistakes. We make mistakes, the most common way we can make mistakes is by just not knowing better, not knowing how things are, not knowing the effects of our actions and our attitudes for ourselves and others. Not knowing is a major way we make mistakes. Another way we make mistakes is through maybe we know or we've heard, but we forget. Another third way we make mistake out of the four is maybe we know better, but for whatever reasons, out of disrespect and disregarding what we do know of the laws of karma, the inevitability of cause and effect, for whatever reasons, out of disrespect, we go against what we know is better. And the fourth way we make mistakes is even though we know better and we really want to do better, our emotions get the best of us and we're distracted by our emotions. These are the main ways we make mistakes. Whether it's in the ordinary world with kind of the promises we make for ourselves and others, or kind of the ways we go about just acting in the world as ordinary beings. The same as on whatever ways we're working on the pratimoksha level of our practice, or the bodhisattva level of our practice, or the vidyadhara, mantrayana level of our practice. These are the four ways we make mistakes. And when we're recognizing a mistake as a mistake, it's good. And as soon as we recognize a mistake, we should purify it. That's the best way. They say, like, cleaning the lamp while it's hot. So that's to say, like, using the metaphor, like if you have candles on your shrine, wax candles, or this is referring to like a butter lamp. If the lamp goes out and there's the wax there, if you clean it right away while it's still hot, the wax is still hot and the lamp is still hot, it's so easy. But if we let it sit, the wax gets hard, it's really harder to get out. And it's similar on the level of our mistakes. If we recognize a mistake as a mistake, but we don't do anything to really look at it clearly and really feel how we feel about it and really recognize it was a mistake and try to purify it, then it just becomes more heavy and harder becomes more habitual, essentially. So we want to purify a mistake as soon as we can. And so that's why it's important, when we're going through, again, as we're doing these 4 powers, they're all working together. Vajrasattva, we're uprooting, we're recognizing our mistakes as mistakes. Then the 4th power, we're restoring. We're feeling that deep remorse, not shying away from it, but we're not punishing ourselves or beating ourselves up for it. We're just truly, purely feeling the remorse of the mistakes we've made. Really connecting with that. That's the power of restoring. So not only feeling the remorse, but again, connecting with, what's our really true intention and our true wish? What do we really hold dear and true and valuable? How do we really wish we had behaved? What do we want? How do we want to act in the future? From this moment on, that's what's going to help not to repeat, have that strong conviction not to repeat our mistakes, which means what really helps direct that is knowing what we also want to do, where we want to go, what view we want to hold, what conduct we really cherish and want to uphold and respect in order to actualize our bodhicitta. And so therefore it's said, as we're uprooting and restoring, really feeling that living presence of our own teacher of this life is with us. Inseparable from all the Buddhas of the 3 times, manifest as glorious Vajrasattva, who's omniscient, who sees everything. All of our misdeeds, misunderstandings, whether we recognize it or not, the Buddhas see clearly. So just, again, really calling to mind as we're uprooting our mistakes. It's really given in the teachings. Really look at them, square on. Really call to mind and to heart the mistakes we've made with our loved ones in the world, the way we've gone, if we want to look at the 10 non-virtues of body, speech, mind we've engaged with, or want to look at, on whatever level, the vows we've taken before the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, before our precious teachers, living teachers in this world. Any ways we've gone against the promises we've made with ourselves and our precious lineage. Looking at that squarely, clearly. Anything, the smallest harm to big mistakes, look at them, remembering the time, the place, the motivation, calling it to heart. And then, of course, there's so many things we're completely unaware of. Again, if we look at these 4 ways we make mistakes, all the things we've done just not knowing better, not having the complete picture, where our arrogance gets the better of us, where our emotions get the better of us, whatever it is, really looking at it. And then fundamentally knowing we just don't see. There's so much we don't see and don't know, including the deepest level, that we haven't recognized our pure nature. That's the ultimate mistake and the big stain we're cleaning, right? So really not shying away from that. And then with that remorse that we feel, letting that, instead of beating ourselves up or feeling bad about it, taking full responsibility and really bringing it back to what is our true motivation. Really having that conviction of the 4th power, I do not to repeat, restoring our vows means what we're going to refrain from doing in the future with our real conviction not to repeat, and more so what we really value and are going to engage with as far as our bodhicitta and our practice. And then we're using the 4th power, the power of the antidote, which is, again, part of all of this. But then as we do the practice, when we get to it, maybe what we'll do is, I'm talking a little bit long now. Let's start our practice. And when we get to the power of the antidote, that's where, again, we use this skillful means practice of visualizing Vajrasattva, inseparable from the teacher. So we'll go over, once we get to that part in the practice, we'll go over visualizing Vajrasattva above our head, in Yabyum with Nyema, with the nectars coming, cleansing us, removing all of our obscurations, the causes and results of our obscurations, clarifying, purifying all of our karmic debts until the whole universe is just purified and revealed as the three-kaya mandala of Vajrasattva. And then we just abide in that nature, which is the ultimate purification of resting in Rigpa. So that's using the 4 powers. So once we get to that, we'll just review that aspect a little bit. And now I'll stop talking. I hope this is helpful. Of course, the Dharma is so vast, so profound, there's so many details, but just kind of touching on some of these really basic elements. Purifying our obscurations, our obscurations are all that's veiling us from experiencing the beautiful enlightened nature and really letting our bodhicitta be totally natural in its full bloom state. And using these skillful means to purify our gross emotions and conceptions to all the way to Buddhahood. That's the path. And then this is all why? We're embodiment of our precious teacher, embodiment of all the Buddhas, alive and living in this life, receiving those blessings, mingling our own mind with the mind of the fully enlightened Buddha, and resting in that state. Wonderful. So let's do that. We'll just rest for a few moments in silence, and then we'll quickly, with a heart and mind of bodhicitta, an aspiration, and then invoking all the lineage masters, we'll recite the 7-line prayer, and then we'll go right to calling the Lama from afar and move through the outer Ngondro, the inner Ngondro practice. Okay? So. Thank you. So we'll just be silent, just rest our awareness again. Touch home base. Just relax our body. Feel our posture, let our winds flow natural. Relax our mind. Connect with our 3 motivations. Om Mojin Yuji Nu Chang Sam Padma Gesar Dompola Yatsen Chogi Nundrupni Padma Jungni She Sudrak Kodu Kandro Mang Bekor Chechi Jesu Tak Drupji Jinji Lokche Shik Suso Guru Padma Siddhi Hum Om Bojin Yöje Nu Chang Sam Padma Gesa Dumpola Yatsen Chogi Nundrupni Padma Jungni Shisudrak Kodu Kandro Mang Bekor Chechi Jesu Dak Drupji Jinji Lokche Shik Susor Guru Padma Siddhi Hum Om Bojin Yö
je nu chan sam Padma ge sa dum bola ya tsen jo gi nu rop ni Padma jung ni she su rak ko du kan ro maing pe kor che chi je su tak tru chi jin ji lop che shik su so Guru Padma Siddhi Hum. Then we'll go to the calling the Lama from afar, which is 7-line prayer is calling the Lama from afar, but now we'll just connect to this beautiful prayer of realization from Dudjom. So this is on page 18 in the Ngondro. The essence, primordially unchanging, the innate nature, free from elaboration, dwells as the youthful vase body, the originally pure, profound clarity. Dharmakaya Lama, Yeshe Dorje, be aware of me. Please grant the blessings to attain great confidence in the view. The nature, unceasing, conjoined configuration of luminous clarity, dwells as the display of the spontaneously present 5 certainties. Sambhogakaya Lama, Dechen Dorje, be aware of me. Please grant the blessings to perfect great ability in meditation. The compassion without bias, the primordial wisdom free from all limitations, dwells as the essence of all-pervading naked awareness emptiness. Nirmanakaya Lama, Drodro Lingpa, be aware of me. Please grant the blessings to accomplish great progress and action. The primordial ground of one's own awareness is unchanging and unmoving. Whatever arises as the expression of Dharmakaya is neither good nor bad. Since awareness of nowness is actually the Buddha, the completely free, serene Lama is revealed in one's innermost heart. When this original mind is realized as the very nature of the Lama, there is no need for whining, contrived prayers made with grasping and attachment. By letting go in the free, natural flow of uncontrived awareness, not holding whatever arises, the blessings of self-liberation are obtained. Through fabricated practice, there is no time to achieve enlightenment. This meditation produced through mental analysis and intellect is a deceiving enemy. Now conceptualization falls apart with the abandon of a madman. Let this life be spent in a state of uninhibited naked ease. Whatever one does, joyful, practitioner of the great perfection. In any company, happy, lineage holder of the lotus-born. Protector without rival, great treasure revealing Lama. Teachings beyond compare, heart essence of the Dakinis. By dispelling the heart's darkness, great ignorance in its own place, the undiminished sun of luminous clarity shines continuously. This good fortune is the kindness of the Lama, the only Father. Unrepayable kindness, only remember the Lama. Unrepayable kindness, only remember the Lama. Unrepayable kindness, only remember the Lama. We'll continue the 4 renunciation thoughts, the outer Ngondro. Namo lume tenji gompo lama chin dajo dini shintu net parka chetse mita chiwe chuchen yin Gedik lechi judre lowa met kamsun korwa dukna jamsunang Rene daglo chula jurwa shok. Namo, Lama, infallible, constant protector, be aware of me. The freedoms and favorable conditions of this human birth are extremely difficult to obtain. Everything born is impermanent and bound to die. The results of virtuous and unvirtuous actions, which are causes, are inexorable. The three realms of cyclic existence have the nature of an ocean of suffering. Remembering this, may my mind turn towards the Dharma. Namo, Lama, infallible, constant protector, be aware of me. The freedoms and favorable conditions of this human birth are extremely difficult to obtain. Everything born is impermanent and bound to die. The results of virtuous and unvirtuous actions, which are causes, are inexorable. The three realms of cyclic existence have the nature of an ocean of suffering. Remembering this, may my mind turn towards the Dharma. Namo, Lama, infallible, constant protector, be aware of me. The freedoms and favorable conditions of this human birth are extremely difficult to obtain. Everything born is impermanent and bound to die. The results of virtuous and unvirtuous actions, which are causes, are inexorable. The three realms of cyclic existence have the nature of an ocean of suffering. Remembering this, may my mind turn towards the Dharma. Feeling the presence of Guru Rinpoche and all the lineage refuge tree before us, along with all beings of the six realms. Then we'll take our refuge with prostration. So we'll recite this a few times together, and then we'll get up and we'll do the refuge with prostrations for maybe about 5 minutes or so. Dizong changchup ningpo matobar Lama kunchup sumla chabsuchi. From now until attaining the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, the three jewels. From now until attaining the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, the three jewels. From now until attaining the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, the three jewels. Okay. Now we'll all do the meditation with the refuge motivation and conviction for a little bit, about 4 or 5 minutes. Dizong changchup ningpo matoba Lama kuncho sumla chabsuchi. Dizong changchup ningpo matoba Lama kuncho sumla chabsuchi. Dizong From now until attaining the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, the three jewels. From now until attaining the heart of enlightenment, take refuge in the Lama, the three jewels. From now until attaining the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, the three jewels. From now until attaining the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, the three jewels. And reappearing again before Guru Rinpoche and all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, our living teacher, we'll make our Bodhichitta vows with the meditation. And again, I'm just saying this in case there's anyone new here and unfamiliar, but we'll say a few times together and then we'll all go at our own rate. Recite as we're reciting the Bodhichitta vow with great compassion and bodhicitta emanating pure light to all beings. Dane jungte korwa matombar madyo simchen kunje pende druk. From now until samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all sentient parent beings. From now until samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all sentient parent beings. From now until samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all sentient parent beings. samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish. From now until samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all sentient. From now until samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish. From now until samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all sentient. From now until samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all sentient. From now until samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all sentient. From now until samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all sentient. From now until samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all sentient parent beings. From now until samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all sentient parent beings. From now until samsara becomes empty, I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all sentient parent beings. Now we'll focus on this other really important part of the path, accumulating merit, and this skillful means of the Mandala offering. Serap kunji lodang lonchot pal, sok nye zok je konchok sumlabu. The bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories of the succession of all my lifetimes, I offer to the three jewels in order to complete the two accumulations. The bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories of the succession of all my lifetimes, I offer to the three jewels in order to complete the two accumulations. The bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories of the succession of all my lifetimes, I offer to the three jewels in order to complete the two accumulations. Sera kunje ludang loncho pasok ni soche koncho sumlabu. Sera kunje ludang loncho pasok ni soche koncho sumlabu. Sera kunje ludang loncho pasok ni soche koncho sumlabu. Sera kunje ludang loncho pasok ni soche koncho sumlabu. Sera kunje ludang loncho pasok ni soche koncho sumlabu. Sera kunje ludang loncho pasok ni soche koncho. Sera kunje ludang loncho pasok ni soche koncho sumlabu. Sera kunje ludang loncho pasok ni soche koncho. Bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories, succession of all my lifetime. The accumulations, the bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories, succession of all my lifetime. Offer to the jewels in order to complete the two accumulations. The bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories, succession of all my lifetime. The two accumulations, the bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories, succession of all my lifetime. I offer three jewels in order to complete the two accumulations. Bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories, succession of all my lifetime. Jewels in order to complete the two accumulations. Bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories, succession of all my lifetime. Three jewels in order to complete the two accumulations. Bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories, succession of all my lifetime. Three jewels in order to complete the two accumulations. the bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories, possession of all my lifetimes. The bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories, possession of all my lifetimes. I offer the three jewels, the two accumulations. The bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories, possession of all my lifetimes. The accumulation. Bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories, possession. Bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories. I offer to the three jewels, the two accumulations. The bodies, enjoyments, possessions, and glories of the succession of all my lifetimes, I offer to the three jewels in order to complete the two accumulations. And so now we're in the section of the Ngondro, which is the purification of obscurations, the meditation on Vajrasattva. So again, before we begin and as part of doing the practice, just refresh a little bit on this, this visualization. So of course we have using the four powers, removing, purifying all of our mistakes from beginningless time up into this moment, and then connecting with our pure motivation and relaxing, uniting our mind in the primordial state of our own innate Rigpa, all the blessings of Vajrasattva. So again, power of the object, Vajrasattva, the outer Vajrasattva, uniting with our inner Vajrasattva of our joy, our devotion, our bodhicitta. That's what's removing all of our obscurations and the veils of our delusion, purifying, bringing out the beautiful, immaculate state of the nature and bodhicitta. And then we're purifying of our mistakes, recognizing our mistakes clearly as much as we can. And of course, as we all know, as you're doing the practice, sometimes we begin to even remember things we totally forgot. But to some degree, recognize our mistakes clearly, vividly, feeling our remorse, recognizing so much we don't know, including just the true nature, acknowledging that too, and connecting with our beautiful motivation to not repeat our mistakes and to what we truly do want to engender, to actualize our bodhicitta, to really be less and less, obsessed with our samsara and its causes, and more engaged with the cause of happiness for ourselves and all beings, the path of liberation, and truly wishing to absorb that into our minds and hearts and realization, bring out our bodhicitta and purity awareness, however we want to term it, and then using the power of the antidote. So here we are, the precious teacher
who has the precious instructions and nectar blessings to really for us to recognize our true nature. So, like it says, above one's head is Vajrasattva, inseparable from the Lama. So, our own precious living teacher of this life, inseparable from Guru Padma Sambhava, inseparable from Vajrasattva, embodiment of all the Buddhas of the 3 times, is vividly, clearly feel that presence right above our crown. They say about 1 cubit, 1 forearm length above our head is Vajrasattva. And how is Vajrasattva appearing in this specific practice? Vajrasattva from the crown of our head, coming out from our central channel is a luminous stem. And then again, 1 cubit above our head is a 1,000-petaled white lotus. Pure, brilliant white. On that is on the pollen bed of the 1,000-petaled lotus is a beautiful, pristine, white moon disk lying on the pollen bed. On that is glorious Vajrasattva, with one face, 2 arms, 2 legs, brilliant white, like they say, like a million suns shining on a pure snow mountain. This brilliant white, and adorned, wearing all the Sambhogakaya ornaments, the crowns, silks and scarves and jewels and bells. And then in Vajrasattva's right hand, is, of course, holding the Vajra at the heart, and then in the left hand holding the bell, jilbu, at the hip. And in this practice too, then Vajrasattva is above us in Yabhyum, in union with the great wisdom consort Nyema, who's also brilliant white in Sambhogakaya posture, in Sambhogakaya dress. And then her complexion has brilliant white, but then a little reddish tinge. And she's holding in her right hand a curved knife, and in her left hand a skull cup full of ambrosia, of wisdom nectar. Her right arm is around Vajrasattva's neck. And they're again in union, the inseparable union of wisdom and compassion, of emptiness and appearances, is Vajrasattva. And then in Vajrasattva's heart is again a little moon, lotus and moon disk. And standing on that, in Vajrasattva's heart, is a little crystal 5-pointed Vajra. And then in the 5-pointed Vajra, in the heart, the source of all phenomena of the Vajra, is a Hung syllable, the letter Hung. And then shining brilliantly with brilliant white, circulating clockwise around that, all the syllables of the 100-syllable mantra are resounding and shining out throughout all the galaxies, throughout all the Buddha realms, throughout all samsara. And Vajrasattva in union above our head, the great teacher, is then just shining the brilliant wisdom light and full of bliss and freedom and bodhichitta and kindness and omniscience, again seeing every single thing as it is and knowing us so deeply, so profoundly. And then ourselves with them as witness, kind of purifying, recognizing our mistakes and not knowing, purifying. And then from the great bliss of Vajrasattva, kind of a nectar stream is dripping and kind of showering us and just moving through us, cleansing our gross body, cleansing our subtle body. Kind of we can imagine too, they say that nectar stream is coming down and filling our central channel and moving throughout all the channels of our body and through all the junctures of our channels. All of our chakras are becoming pure and full of this wisdom light, just shining, brilliant white with all the 5 colors scintillating, shining, just really filling all of our channels, overflowing, purifying all of our negativities. And all our negativities can be visualized as kind of being washed out as all kinds of disease, and sometimes they say visualize as insects and just filth going. And then also that all of our obscurations and their causes are completely purified, and then through the ground is even opening up, and all of the beings to which we have karmic debts, all of our karmic debts are purified. They receive everything they need, everything they ever wanted, everything they need for temporary and ultimate peace is completely satisfied. All of our own obscurations and our karmic debts are completely purified. And this is all as we're reciting the 100-syllable mantra, using the 4 powers, using this visualization. If you want to, I don't know if anyone's done this, but if you're ever, one way is if you imagine, if you're ever standing out, or you have the opportunity, and there's you have a hose or something, and it's a bright blue sky and the sun, and if you kind of point the water up in the air into the sun, and just that brilliant light shining through the clear water, just the nectar is just streaming and flowing and purifying ourselves and all of our relations and all of our connections and all beings without exception, until eventually everyone is completely purified and revealed in the 3 kaya state of Vajrasattva. All appearances, all forms are the enlightened body of Vajrasattva. All sound and movement is the enlightened speech of Vajrasattva and the mantra of Vajrasattva. All thoughts and conceptions and perceptions are the mind of Vajrasattva. Just that 3 kaya state, all is the Pure Land of Vajrasattva. So we're reciting the 100-syllable mantra, and then in this last stage where things are purifying, then Vajrasattva kind of comes into light and comes down into our heart. And then we will recite the 6-syllable mantra of Vajrasattva for a while. Just again, contemplating, visualizing all existence, all phenomena is the Pure Land of 3 kaya state of Vajrasattva. And then eventually we can then just bring our mind to the hung and the syllable going, and then the syllable kind of dissolves into the hung, the 6 syllables, and then the hung gradually dissolves from the bottom up into the top, and then we'll just rest in our awareness, rest in Rigpa. That's really profound purification. Okay, so now we'll do that. Chivo lama dorsem yed medpe kule dutse junbap jipjang jur. Above one's head is Vajrasattva, inseparable from the Lama. From Vajrasattva's body, a nectar stream descends, purifying one's obscurations. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Tisha Dero Mebawa Sudokaya Mebawa Subhajaya Mebawa Anurato Mebawa Sarva Siddhi Meprayata Sawa Kama Sutso Me Jitam Chiriam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawat Kata Vajramame Munza Vajri Bhava Maha Samaya Satoa Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Tisha Dero Mebawa Sudokaya Mebawa Subhajaya Mebawa Anurato Mebawa Sava Siddhi Meprayata Sawa Kama Sutso Me Jizam Jiryam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramame Munza Vajre Bhava Maha Samaya Satoa Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya
Vajrasattva teno pa tija diro me bawa, sudukaya me bawa, subachaya me bawa, anurato me bawa, sawa siddhi me prayata, sawa kama sutta me titsam chiryam guru ho, maha ho bhagavan, sawa tata gata vajra mame munza vajre bawa maha samaya sato om vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva tenu padididida me bawa sudukaya me bawa zubachaya me bawa anurado me bawa zubazidi me parayata sabagama zutsa me jisam jim guru hum bhagavan sawa tata gata vajra mame munza vajra mansamaya sato om vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva tenu padididida me bawa subachaya me bawa zubachaya me bawa anurado me bawa zubazidi me parayata Kama Sutta me jisam jim guru hum bhagavan zavadada gada vajrama me munza vajraman samaya sato ambara sava samaya manubalaya vajrasava dena badira me bhava subhajaya me bhava subhajaya me bhava anuanto me bhava subhazidi me prayata zava kama sutta me jisam jim guru hum bhagavan zavadada gada vajrama me munza vajraman samaya sato ambara sava samaya manubalaya vajrasava dena badira me bhava subhajaya me bhava anuanto me bhava subhazidi me prayata zava kama sutta me jisam jim guru hum bhagavan zavadada Gata Vajramami Munza Vajramasmiya Satua Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Denu Badididi Mebo Subhaje Mebo Subhaje Mebo Anuranta Mebo Subhazidi Me Parayata Sabagama Sutta Me Jisam Jim Guru Hum Bhagavan Savatata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajramasmiya Satua Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Denu Badididi Mebo Subhaje Mebo Subhaje Mebo Anuranta Mebo Subhazidi Me Parayata Sabagama Sutta Me Jisam Jim Guru Hum Bhagavan Savatata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajribama Mansamaya Satua Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Denu Badididi Mebo Subhaje Mebo Subhaje Mebo Anurato Mebo Subhazidi Me Prayata Sabagama Sutta Me Jisam Jim Guru Hum Bhagavan Savatata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajribama Mansamaya Satua Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Denu Badididi Mebo Subhaje Mebo Subhaje Mebo Anurato Mebo Subhazidi Me Prayata Sabagama Sutta Me Jisam Jim Guru Hum Bhagavan Savatata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajramasmiya Satua Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Denu Badididi Mebo Subhaje Mebo Subhaje Mebo Sabazidi me prayata sabagama sutta me jisam jim guru hum bhagavan savatata gata vajramami munza vajreva mahasamaya sato ambara sava samaya manubalaya vajrasava tenu badididi me bhava subhajaya me bhava anurantu me bhava subhazidi me prayata sabagama sutta me jisam jim guru hum bhagavan savatata gata vajramami munza vajreva mahasamaya sato ambara sava samaya manubalaya vajrasava tenu badididi me bhava subhajaya me bhava Anuratu me bhava zavaziri me prayata zavagama sutta me jisam jim guru hum bhagavan zavadata gata vajramami munza vajramansamaya satua Om Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Denu Badididi Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Ananda Me Bhava Zavaziri Me Prayata Sabagama Sutta Me Jisam Jim Guru Hum Bhagavan Savatata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajramansamaya Satua Om Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Denu Badididi Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Anarato Me Bhava Zavaziri Me Prayata Sabagama Sutta Me Jisam Jim Guru Hum Bhagavan Savatata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajramansamaya Satua Om Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Tita Data Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Anuranta Me Bhava Subhazidi Me Prayata Sabagama Sutta Me Jisam Jim Guru Hum Bhagavan Savatata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajramansamaya Satua Om Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Denu Badididi Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Anuranta Me Bhava Subhazidi Me Prayata Sabagama Sutta Me Jisam Jim Guru Hum Bhagavan Savatata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajramansamaya Satua Om Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Denu Badididi Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Anuranta Me Bhava Subhazidi Me Prayata Sabagama Sutta Me Jisam Jim Guru Hum Bhagavan Savatata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajribhava Mahasamaya Satua Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Denu Badididi Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Anuranta Me Bhava Subhazidi Me Prayata Sabagama Sutta Me Jisam Jim Guru Hum Bhagavan Savatata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajramasmiya Satua Om Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Denu Badididi Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Subhaje Me Bhava Anuranta Me Bhava Sabhazidi Me Prayata Sabagama Sutta Me Jisam Jim Guru Hum Bhagavan Savatata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajribhava Mahasamaya Satua Om Vajrasava Samaya Manubalaya Vajrasava Denu Ba Di 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 Me Bo Suba Je Me Bo Suba Je Me Bo Anranto Me Bo Suba Siri Me Parayansa Sabagama Sutta Me Zizam Jim Guru Bhagavan Sabatata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajrava Mazamaya Satua Vajrasava Samye Manu Balaya Vajrasava Dinuba Dida Dida Me Bo Sudukaya Me Baba Subachaya Me Baba Anarato Me Baba Sabasidi Me Prayata Sawakama Sutta Me Zizam Chirium Guru Hom Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tata Gata Vajramami Munza Vajre Bhava Maha Samaya Sato A Om Vajrasattva Hum Om Vajrasattva Hum Om Vajrasattva Hum Om Vajrasattva Hum 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 Om Vajrasattva Hum 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 Om Vajrasattva Hum 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 Om Vajrasattva Hum 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 Om Vajrasattva Hum 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 Om Vajrasattva Hum 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 Om Vajrasattva Hum Om Vajrasattva Hum Ozu Dagnan Dangre Rochik Jo. Vajrasattva melts into light and becomes mingled in one taste with one's own perceptions. Go to the Guru Yoga. Rangni doje na jo dunkaru sawe lama pe me kujinjur. Oneself is Vajrayogini, and in the sky in front, the root teacher manifests in the form of Padma Sambhava. Dusum sanje malu dupeku sawe lama chogla solwa dip diche bado sundu tukje zung dusun junche metpa jinjelo. The embodiment of all the Buddhas of the 3 times, without exception. Most excellent root teacher, I pray to you, in this and future lives, and in the bardo, in these 3, hold me with your compassion. Bless me ceaselessly throughout the 3 times.
the embodiment of all the Buddhas of the 3 times without exception, most excellent root teacher, I pray to you, in this and future lives and in the bardo, in these 3, hold me with your compassion, bless me ceaselessly throughout the 3 times. The embodiment of all the Buddhas of the 3 times without exception, most excellent root teacher, I pray to you, in this and future lives and in the bardo, in these 3, hold me with your compassion. Bless me ceaselessly throughout the 3 times. Om Ahum Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. 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 Om 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 Ahum 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 Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum 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 Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om 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 Ahum 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 Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum 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 Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om 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 Ahum Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om 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 Ahum 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 Vajraguru Padma Om Ahum Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om Ahum 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 Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Om 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 Ahum 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 Vajraguru Padma Siddhi Hum. Kusun Trukchi Wangjin Yongsok To. The blessings and empowerments of body, speech, and mind are completely and perfectly obtained. Vajra Guru Kaya Waka Citta Siddhi Hum. Lama Hosu Rang Tim Yermet Nang Riktong Donji Lame Rang Shata. The Lama dissolves into light, is absorbed into oneself and becomes inseparable with one's own state of being. Behold the emptiness awareness, the true face of the Lama. Gumbo pa medla solwa dip, zablam bowa jungwa jinjilo. I pray to the protector, Amitabha, the Buddha of limitless light. Grant me the blessing to become accomplished in the profound path of Poa. I pray to the protector, Amitabha, the Buddha of limitless light. Grant me the blessing to become accomplished in the profound path of Poa. I pray to the protector, Amitabha, the Buddha of limitless light. Grant me the blessing to become accomplished in the profound path of Poa. Dani ludang long chot get sa che, major dola pangpa met pa tang. Rodun lapchin gek me drupa shu. Now my body, possessions, and the source of my virtue, all together, I give without clinging to all beings who have been my parents. May I accomplish great benefits unobstructedly for all beings. Now my body, possessions, and the source of my virtue, all together, I give without clinging to all beings who have been my parents. May I accomplish great benefits unobstructedly for all beings. Now my body, possessions, and the source of my virtue, all together, I give without clinging to all beings who have been my parents. May I accomplish great benefits unobstructedly for all beings. Okay. And just before we seal our practice with our dedication and aspiration prayers, and then specifically in relation to the Vajrasattva practice, I just thought to say a couple more things. One is, of course, while we're reciting the mantra, just really resting our awareness, doing the meditation, focusing on each syllable as best we can, letting that all just reverberate throughout our channels and in our space. But then this mantra in particular, right? The mantras are so profound, so vast in meaning, but there's a beautiful translation or kind of teaching that I think Dudjom Rinpoche gave. I think that's, it's in the back of this book by Venerable Khenpo's. In one of the appendices, I think on page 191, Dudjom Rinpoche's explanation of the meaning of the 100-syllable mantra. So of course it's part of the meaning, connecting with the actualizing our bodhicitta and our Vajrasattva is the real meaning, and so profound. The mantras aren't any one, but so rich. And then in particular, the Vajra, like I mentioned before, the vows that Vajrasattva gave and that connection as Vajrasattva being the ultimate power of purification. On the Vajrayana level, it's also purifying all of on the Bodhichitta level, on the Pratimoksha level,
on the ordinary level. All of these are being purified so powerfully and profoundly by these skillful means of putting all these four powers into use and applying the meditation. And it's said also in the teachings that, like I mentioned, since we are holding, at least in our aspiration, all the vows of the 9 yanas, the vows of the Vajrayana, vows of the Mahayana, vows of the Pratimoksha, and just trying to be good people in the world, helpful people in the world. Since we have these, but especially since, again, we're purifying and we're trying to uphold all what's good and for everyone, everywhere, naturally, and then through the great supports and skillful means of the vows and samayas and the teachings that we hold and that we truly aspire to realize and recognize for the benefit of all beings. Until we don't truly have that realization, that means we have obscurations, right? And so always purifying is good. And so as holders of the secret Vajrayana, which naturally embodies all the teachings and practices of the Buddha, it's said, if in the teachings, if we can do Vajrasattva practice daily, 21, recite the 100-syllable mantra, again with all the four powers and the visualization and meditation, it really helps keep our clean, and we're going to be purifying any mistakes we've made on any level in the day. And then it said if we can do a whole mala, concentrating one-pointedly, uninterruptedly on Vajrasattva, reciting the 100-syllable mantra, that purifies just countless lifetimes of obscurations and mistakes. And then, of course, so that's just as Vajrayana practitioners, whether we're doing our Ngondro or completed our Ngondro, definitely, right? Vajrasattva's in every practice, but just, again, to keep our connections pure with our teacher and the teachings, the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the gurus, devas, dakinis, and dharmapalas. Doing the Vajrasattva practice each day is just really encouraged at least 21 times. Then, of course, when we're doing our Ngondro accumulations, we actually accumulate 100,000. And then we just keep going until we're fully enlightened. So, for the benefit of all. So I just thought to add those few extra thoughts, and now we'll dedicate the merit of our practice and make our vast aspiration prayers. And then having done that, we'll go up and with the worlds to the best of our abilities with our mindfulness, alertness, conscientiousness, keeping our view, our meditation, and very careful with our conduct according to our current capacities. Okay. So we'll start on page 29 in our Treasury of Mantras and Prayers. Long life prayers for our teachers, and then we'll go on with our dedication and aspiration prayers. Gangri rawe korwe jinkamsu pendan dewa malu jungwe ni chenre zikwan tinzin jamso yi jape kaje badu tenjo chi. 26. Om swasti bidzayantu chosum sasum jitu padma jung ningne sodep tukje tujinji kanchen balden sherab tupeku kutse tangshin zezan tajin shok. 30. Om swasti sewang rigzin peme jin lapchi donyi drupe laksam nodenla sherup kolo sumji padrote sanchen natang chogle namja sho. By this merit may all obtain omniscience. May it defeat the enemy, wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara, may I free all beings. May the sole source of benefit and happiness, the Buddha's teachings, remain for a long time. And may the victory banner of the lives of the noble ones, the holders of the teachings, remain firm. May all the temples and monasteries, all the readings and recitations of Dharma flourish.
May the Sangha always be in harmony, and may our aspirations be achieved. The sole remedy for the suffering of sentient beings, the source of every joy, is the teaching. May it remain honorably upheld and flourish for a long time. May all the numberless beings who are sick be quickly freed from sickness. May all the afflictions of sentient beings never again arise. May all sentient beings always be joyful. May all births into lower realms cease forever. May the wishes of all the Bodhisattvas and all the Bhumis swiftly reach fruition. At this very moment, for the peoples and nations of the earth, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard, and rather may pure conduct, merit, wealth, and prosperity increase, and may supreme good fortune and well-being always arise. The precious Bodhichitta, in those without it, may it be generated. In those who have it, may it never diminish, and always continue increasing. Throughout the succession of lives into which I shall be born, may I obtain the 7 qualities of the upper realms of existence. May I meet the Dharma immediately after taking birth, and have the freedom to practice accordingly. May I please the holy lamas and practice Dharma day and night. By understanding the Dharma and practicing its inmost essence, in that life may I cross the ocean of samsara. In samsara may I expound the excellent holy doctrine. May I not become bored and tired of accomplishing the benefit of others by my own tremendous impartial service to others. May everyone attain Buddhahood together. May the lotus feet of the Guru who glorifies the teachings be firm. May the noble ones who hold the teachings encompass the earth. May the prosperity and dominion of the patrons of the teachings increase, and may the teachings auspiciously remain for a long time. May the secret treasures of all the victorious ones, their incomparably supreme teachings, arise as the sun in the sky, gloriously pervading the entire universe. Nectar essence of all the teachings of the victorious one, great charioteer of the secret Vajrayana teachings of the early translation school, emanation of Nupchen Sanjay Yeshe, great Turtan Sasum Lingpa, may your profound treasure pervade the entire world. May the soul swift path of all the Buddhas, the supreme vehicle, the great perfection, unanimously praised by all the victorious ones, the early translation school tradition of the king of the victorious ones, Padma, the conqueror's doctrine, pervade auspiciously throughout all directions. May the great tradition of Khenpo Tsewang Lopom Padma and Dharma King Trisen Detsen increase and spread throughout the 3-realm world. May the appearance of the 3 jewels and the mind streams of beings remain inseparable and bring sublime well-being throughout the 3 times. Deity, mantra, and dharmakaya are the nature of appearance, sound, and awareness, the pervasive kaya and wisdom display of the Buddhas. May practitioners of the profound and secret great perfection remain inseparable from the innermost one-taste awareness of wisdom mind. Vajrasattva. Thank you again, everyone, taking the time to come and practice together, reflect on the meaning, and really immediately put it all right into practice. So wonderful. And thank you. And sorry we've gone over a little bit, but thank you for holding out and just concluding together. We'll meet again next Saturday for Ngondro at 3:30, so hope you can join. And I think Monday is the 10th day. And I just, in case anyone's wondering, we will be observing the 10th day, but we will not have a webcast on Monday. Rinpoche is still traveling, and so please have your practice, enjoy, And we'll be doing that here as well as in the other centers. And we'll see you next week. Thank you.